Hey there, everyone. I'm meteorologist Cassie Nall, and this is your 10 Weather Impact Recap for the week. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking a lot about snow and ice, starting with glaciers. Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve posted this gorgeous photo on their Facebook page to answer the most commonly asked question: why does the ice look blue? Well, glacial ice appears blue because of two things: its density and the different wavelengths of light. Glacial ice is very dense and compact compared to other types of ice and snow. When the light travels through that ice, it scatters all the colors in the visible spectrum, except blue, which is what we see reflected back toward our eyes. And check this out. I was in Colorado last weekend and noticed these snow rollers along the side of the road. You can see the tracks running right down the side of the hill right there. Now, someone described them as the snow equivalent of a tumbleweed, and I think that fits. Now, the ones you see in my photo were formed by gravity rolling the snow down a hill, but these monsters seen in Idaho were formed strictly by the wind. Snow rollers are considered to be rare because of the unique combination of snow, wind, and temperature needed to create them. They form with light but sticky snow and strong but not too strong of winds, and they can vary in size from a few inches to several feet tall. Once one bit of snow starts to roll, being moved by the wind, it gathers additional snow on its journey across the ground, creating a roll that can grow to the size of a tire. The ones in this photo were estimated to be around 18 inches to 2 feet in diameter. And we had our own interesting ice formations here in East Tennessee last week. Snowflakes come in many shapes and sizes, and last week we had needles fall from the sky. Dan Derschel sent us these photos from the Gratiot Branch area of Sevierville. The temperature and humidity of the air that a snowflake falls through determines its size and its shape, and small changes in these factors can affect the way that the snowflake grows. The needle flakes that fell last week formed in relatively warmer and more humid conditions than your classic six-armed dendrites, which caused the ice crystals to change from thin, flat plates to long, slender needles. Isn't weather fascinating? And that same weather system that brought wintry weather to East Tennessee last week dumped almost a foot of snow along the East Coast. That's not sugar white sand that you're seeing on the Virginia Beach boardwalk. That's windswept snow on the dunes along the ocean shore. The 10.2 inches of snow that fell in 24 hours at Norfolk International Airport was the 8th highest single-day snowfall on record. For the first time in 2 years, the abundance of very cold weather this winter made the in-water portion of ice rescue training possible for the New Jersey State Troopers. Ted Greenberg shows us their bone-chilling experience.
Careful steps are required to reach this frigid training ground.
This is definitely a first.
We're going to head on into the water. Never before had Rob Williams and some 40 other troopers plunged into bone-chilling water for immersive lessons on saving lives from icy mishaps.
It's good to see what the victim would be going through. Go, Jake.
On mostly frozen Lake Hopatcong in Mount Arlington, troopers from the New Jersey State Police Marine Services Bureau exposed to harsh winter elements.
This is really cold.
Over 3 days of critical ice rescue and cold water survival training this week.
It is eye-opening, especially the shock when you get in the water, get out of the water.
Milder weather during the past 2 winters made this type of hands-on learning impossible for several troopers who recently joined the Bureau's ranks.
Having this weather, having the frozen lake and this cold climate is really, really valuable.
Teamwork is a significant part of this training. It forces the troopers to endure painfully difficult conditions that they'd likely face while trying to save someone who fell through ice.
My hands are tingling. I'm kind of purple here, so I can imagine how cold it is if you don't have the gear.
Right now, the ice here is about 8 inches thick, but authorities know it won't stay that way with a big warm-up coming next week.
When you have 50-degree weather, especially for longer than 24-hour period, this 8-inch ice could go down to practically nothing in no time.
Over the past few years, state police have also ramped up their efforts to teach kids across New Jersey about ice safety.
We want to make sure we stress the point that no ice is safe ice.
The Morris County Sheriff's Office lending a helping hand here. For these troopers, feeling the danger is key.
It's humbling. I think I'm a pretty good swimmer, and then you get out there and your body's just, you can feel it shutting down.
Skill building on a frozen platform, highlighting the very real risks of venturing onto thin ice.
As that cold air moved off the east coast, it created beautiful cloud formations seen from this satellite image. These stratocumulus clouds formed as the cold air moved over the relatively warmer waters of the Gulf Stream. That's a current that brings the warm water up from Florida northward up the eastern seaboard, and it creates those beautiful clouds streaming off the east coast. In Kentucky, conditions have been harsh this winter, and that makes life difficult for farmers. Elena Noakes shares how the weather whiplash is affecting the agriculture community.
It's a bit hard to tell where the river ends and the fields begin, but this tree line is a pretty good indicator. Below it is where a bean or corn crop should be in early May.
When those fields flood where they grow crops for this year, a lot of times you'll have debris that gets out into the flooded field that will have to be cleaned up.
The flooding is just one challenge farmers face in an increasingly harsh winter.
Food down there, pipes in through here, this main line.
The Jones brothers have the expensive task of tending to a tomato crop in the dead of winter.
That's one of our first flowers open.
Their greenhouse helping to produce a crop when no one else does.
People are a little more fond of a tomato when nobody else has it.
But when the temperature outside these plastic walls is well into the teens, an earlier crop is not cheap.
Every time the greenhouse is covered with snow, that's no sunlight getting into these plants, so you might reduce yield. Temperatures being low like this, it's going to be a higher heat bill. So just every little bit takes away from the end of the year.
Basic jobs like feeding a bunch of cattle is a lot more expensive right now, too, especially coming off a really dry summer where the hay market took a hit. But a healthy diet is even more important just before calving season. The brothers have 200 moms to feed and a calving season in a matter of weeks.
They don't like wet. They can handle dry and cold, but they don't like wet and cold, so it's pretty hard on that as well.
Extreme weather, both hot and cold, can be unhealthy for calves, leading to premature births or undernourished babies.
If you have a calf that gets off to an unhealthy start, many times they never recover.
And with only a small window to get cows ready for customers, that doesn't do anything positive for their bottom line.
The U.S. Forest Service has received $660 million in funding to rebuild the Virginia Creeper Trail. The 34-mile-long bike path that runs from Abington to White Top Station in southwest Virginia was devastated when Hurricane Helene brought historic rain and flooding to the region in late September. Many of the old railroad trestles that acted as bridges have been washed away, and in some sections the trail no longer exists, reclaimed by the rushing waters of flooded creeks. The 16 miles of trail from Abington to Damascus are open, and they're looking forward to business from tourists this summer. But the remaining 18 miles from Damascus over to White Top are going to need extensive repairs. The U.S. Forest Service announced Friday that it has officially approved the reconstruction of the Virginia Creeper Trail. Hopefully, work can begin soon to repair this vital artery for the economy of Southwest Virginia. And a Newport dance studio is back open after devastating flooding from Hurricane Helene. 10 News reporter Sarah Oppman takes us to that opening.
The sounds of footsteps, laughter, and music fill the air once again inside Max Movement Dance Studio. Sounds that were silenced for 18 weeks because of flooding.
When we first got in here, the water basically destroyed all the dance floor, all the mats, anything that was touching the floor, which is basically everything.
For owner Alex Welch, the studio wasn't the only thing washed away by Hurricane Helene. In one night, she lost her home, her barn, and her livelihood.
The first couple of weeks were definitely overwhelming. I didn't really know where to turn and what to do. Like I said, we had destruction everywhere.
Welch didn't stay down for long. With the help of family, friends, and volunteers, she got to work, step by step, to rebuild.
Hearing their story and then be able to help them every step of the way.
But the financial strain continues to weigh heavily, with days of lost business and costly repairs still taking a toll.
Now we're trying to play catch up, getting everything scheduled back and get everything back the way we used to have it, or at least somewhat to that extent.
This grand opening marks a new beginning for Alex and the 150 dancers that look up to her.
Alex, I love you. I don't think I'd want anybody else to be teaching me how to dance.
And another small business in Newport opened last week as well. Flooding from Helene significantly damaged Fruit Jar Alley. The business owners, a married couple, have owned the building since 2017. They say they're looking forward to welcoming customers again after some hard work and tens of thousands of dollars.
It was just quite devastating. Quite devastating. Broken windows, all the windows were broken out on the tax office side. A couple were broken out here on the store side.
The support that they've received is serving as a reminder to many that the resilience of the people of Appalachia is present, and the work that still needs to be done will happen. Now, let's take a look at what's coming down the road here as we move into Saturday. That will be March 1st, which is the beginning of meteorological spring. We go from an average high of 57 degrees on the 1st of March all the way up into the mid-70s by the beginning of May, and even into the low 80s by the end of the month of May. March, April, and May make up the 3 months of meteorological spring. And part of the reason that these temperatures will be rising is because we will be having longer daylight hours. This Friday is our first sunset at or later than 6:30 p.m. this year. And on Sunday, March 9th, so not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday, we will spring forward into daylight saving time. So then our sunset will be at 7:38 p.m. We will also see our sunsets continuing to get later, even up to 8 p.m. by April 4th. And now for a look at that 7-day planner. We're having some spring-like temperatures right now, but we do have rain chances coming into the area overnight Wednesday night and into the day on Thursday. Then temperatures stay around or slightly above average through the weekend and into early next week. It does look like things might become a little bit more active, so make sure you check back for updates to that forecast. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you can always get the very latest with that forecast with the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.